Tonight, we uncover shocking truth on the war on drugs and its impact on our prison systems. Today, more than 2.3 million people within the United States are behind bars. These prisoners face the overcrowding of our prisons, physical abuse, brutality, and torture. More than 50% of these prisoners are behind bars for non-violent offenses. This increase in our prison system is due to the government's war on drugs.
Public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
The war on drugs is a campaign designed by our government in the thought of reducing illegal drug trade within and around the United States. Starting in the 1970s by President Richard Nixon, the war on drugs cracked down on all illegal drugs and its users. People were being arrested for minuscule amounts of drugs, especially marijuana, which accounts for almost half of all drug arrests. Because of this strict policy put into place, incarceration for drugs have increased by 1,100%. This flood of new prisoners has been called mass incarceration.
Why in the world do we have millions of innocent young people wasting away in prison when the big people who are committing these huge, atrocious crimes are getting away every day?
The rate of imprisonment is now 4 times higher than its historic average. Mass incarceration has shown a concentrated force on the most disadvantaged populations of America. 1/3 of all African American male dropouts under 40 are currently behind bars. Mass incarceration has been described as a rate of incarceration so high that it affects whole social groups.
A young man, the average person age of a person going in right now, they say, going into prison, California, is from 18 to 25. This is one of the main things that we're fighting against right now, mass incarceration. This is a good symbolic thing about what the whole, not just, even though this is Pelican Bay, this is symbolic of what's going on all over our country. Because not only are they enslaving your bodies and your mind, right? They enslaving the world. The things that's going on in Los Angeles were not germane to just Los Angeles. They were going on in Chicago, New York, Oakland, Detroit, and anywhere you found a large contingency of the 99%. It's not modern slavery. It's today's slavery. It's what's going on right now.
Written in the Bill of Rights, the 14th Amendment protects people's rights to life, liberty, or property, and the due process of the law. No matter race or gender, the 14th Amendment creates equality for all under the law. But as seen in the Supreme Court case of Armstrong versus United States, the 14th Amendment has lost some of its power in regards with the war on drugs. Armstrong and his lawyers were fighting the racial disparities within the courts regarding drugs. They showed that people of color were always prosecuted in the harsher federal court, while whites only went to the state courts. The courts denied his claim and said that there was no violation of the 14th Amendment unless he could prove that there was a white individual who deserved to be tried in a federal court. This decision made it easier for people of color to be convicted in higher rates and for harsher sentences. But not everyone is against the war on drugs and its message. In a debate on the status of the war on drugs, Asa Hutchinson states,
"But send the signal that it's illegal to transport drugs, to deal in drugs, and it's illegal to buy drugs. Otherwise, you got a conflict."
Asa Hutchinson believes that being harsh on all drug distributors and its users will decrease our nation's problems. But according to a report by the ACLU, increasing prison populations does not lead to less crime. Being harsh with the drug war will not fix our nation's problems. It is clear that mass incarceration is a huge problem that affects the whole nation. With all the individuals being incarcerated and the racial disparities within the system, something must be done. But what can be done? As citizens of this nation, it is our responsibility to send the message to our government to end the war on drugs and mass incarceration.